All right. Thank you, everyone. Our project and presentation will be about a higher order adaptive network model for political opinion dynamics. Oh, okay. I will say click when to click because otherwise. Um, uh, so first we dive a bit into the background and theories. And we will lay out why it's relevant to use adaptive network models for this phenomenon. And we will all focus on cognitive information processing because mostly what happens is that when people form political opinions, they get a lot of influence from other people and external factors, which they all perceive differently. Then we will talk about the model components, and a bit of the preliminaries, which mathematical modeling we did. And we will, of course, discuss the model and results and discuss a bit on it. Yes. Yeah, people develop political viewpoints, but the process of this is quite complex because people have different values, interests. They behave, they get different, they get exposed to different media. They maybe have some other experiences, and they probably respond emotionally. One person can get a higher emotional response than the other, for example. And what was found in literature is also that, the tendency of individuals to interact with each other, like the idea that you mostly interact with similar others, leads to homogeneous groups, and this can eventually lead to polarization and also beliefs based on misinformation. Polarization and misinformation has really increased, not only in the Netherlands, but in a lot of countries. And definitely because people process this information differently inside their brains, it's good to look at the interneural mental structure of how people process this information for creating political viewpoints. And what we see is a lot of this has been done in the literature already, but they really abstract away or simplify the internal mental processes, and they really focus on how a lot of agents bond, but not focusing on the internal mental process structure. And that is what we do, click, with a higher order adaptive network model. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so first a bit of theory. What we did is we'll discuss some cognitive information processing models, and the first one is called the dual process model, which was really popularized by Daniel Kahneman in his book Thinking Fast and Slow in 2011. And the model just proposes that information processing is done in via two systems called the intuitive system and the reasoning system, which where the intuitive system is just fast and effortless, and people make immediate judgments, and is mostly runs unconscious, whereas the reasoning system is slow, intentional, and more important, controllable. And one other thing to mention here is that indeed people have intuitions and fast judgment about a topic, and then can choose or use reasoning as a tool to get to a viewpoint. And most important here is that these systems run in parallel, according to this model. Okay, next slide. Then there is the social intuitionist model, whereas it's the main takeaway of this model is that their people form an intuitive judgment already based on their moral positions and judgments, and they arise spontaneously and are often not the result of conscious reasoning. And that's quite interesting. This model proposes that opinions are quite formed by the intuitive system mostly, whereas the reasoning system then functions as just reassuring what the instant belief was of a person. And then this model describes some links in this model, and it also lays out that in rare occasions private reflection and interpersonal discussion can lead to a reasoned moral judgment, but that is rarely the case. Mostly political viewpoints are formed by the intuitive system and emotions. Okay, and there's the next one, and this last model is a generic cognitive model, which is often which was developed to capture behavior, information processing in the healthcare domain, but it gives a good overview of how stimulus events like the situation, attention, beliefs can shape opinion forming, like the stimulus events getting into the brain, and the brain provides an initial evaluation of stimuli through the amatic system, which is interpreted and perceived really differently per person to person because they have different beliefs, and based on how much attention people provide to such schema, people form an opinion, and which is implemented by the reflective system, which here is set to refine or correct the meaning of the automatic system. Okay, so then we go on to the model components.
Yeah, let's move on to the model components. Our model consists of many different layers. So what we'll do is I'll explain them separately, and then hopefully it will make sense. So first of all, the base level. All agent mental features are in the base level. And so those are the things that are the core components. So first of all, we have the beliefs. You can either have a negative or positive belief. So you may believe, for example, for a situation of immigration, that we should take care of refugees. And so that would be the negative belief, but you could also believe that there is too much immigration in the Netherlands. And so we should stem that. And that would be the positive belief. You can hold either belief or neither. And those beliefs, they affect your instant opinion and your instant emotion. And so that's what Matthijs explained is the intuitive part of the model. Then you also have the attention, as explained, that is how much you care or how much you pay attention to the situation that's going on. So the specific political problem that we're looking at. And those instant opinions and instant emotions, they affect the eventual opinion and eventual emotion, which is decided by the reasoning system. And finally, that response that all combines into a single opinion. And if we go to the next slide, we can see that two different individuals affect each other in different ways. So an opinion of someone else can have an effect on your core beliefs, and someone else's emotion can also affect your instant emotion, which can then eventually be processed in the emotion you yourself have. And so if we move on to the next slide, we can see that individuals are impacted by different topics and by different political parties. So we've chosen in our model to use 9 political parties. And their opinion on a topic can influence your core beliefs. as Matthijs explained, and also the media that you consume can also affect your core beliefs and also how much you pay attention to certain political topics. So if, for example, let's just go back. So if, for example, Hart van Nederland talks a lot about immigration, then you are more likely to pay attention. And if they are more likely to say that we should take care of immigrants, then you're more likely to hold the belief that we should take care of immigrants. And so if we move on to the next slide, we can see that how our two different systems are implemented. So first of all, the intuitive system. So these are the reactions that just happen instantly. So what you can see is that the opinion of someone else may affect your beliefs, but that happens automatically. If you like someone and are more likely to have similar opinion beliefs, then you are more likely to value their opinions. And so that's why those are connected. We also have two thresholds that determine how much you go up into an emotion. So if you hold an instant emotion, that may be increased by lowering the threshold, but it may also be kind of lowered and stemmed to make sure that you remain in control of your emotions. The same thing happens with your opinion and also the emotion of someone else. So you may be affected by someone's opinion more or less based on how similar you both are. And if we move on to the reasoning system, which is the next slide, yeah, we can see here that when you've received all this information, you process this information and you determine which is more important. So what we've done is these instant emotions, they go obviously to your emotion, but how much that goes to your emotion is determined by weight, which then again is determined by a threshold, which determines how sensitive you are to an increase in instant emotion. And similar things happen for your instant opinion, your emotion, which also has an effect on your opinion and how much you pay attention to all these different processes. And if we go to the next slide, we see that we've created some additional combination functions to ensure that all these different states are accurately combined together. Usually, for most combination or for most nodes, we've chosen the alogistic combination function. However, in some cases, not all the opinions or not all the inputs need to be summed together or summed together into an alogistic function. So what we've done is we've also created an adjusted alogistic function that compensates for these problems. What we've also done is we've created a time series function, which allows for the different impacts of different opinions of political parties and news media over time. And we've also used the SOHOMO function to ensure that beliefs that are similar or opinions and beliefs that are similar are more likely to pay attention to each other and more likely to be affected from each other. This also has to be adjusted in some cases because opinion and belief do not have the same scale. And finally, we have an extreme alogistic function, which takes into account extremes from other opinions. And I think we should move on to C.
Yes. So here there's a graph that shows a simulation of our model. And we chose as the first case just two agents with the same opinion, and bonding happens. And they both have influence of just one political party and both the same. And I hope you can see my cursor, but yeah, here we can see that basically the opinion, the yellow line is the party, so that's always like the same line or the same value. And we can see that the opinions are basically these lines and they go down. So you do see that the opinion values go down since they influence each other, which means that the bonding is actually happening. And you can also see that here is the belief min state and here's the belief plus state. And we can also see that those go nicely, like they move to the opposite sides, which is necessary. And this model was mainly just to check like whether the dynamics of our model is actually like working correctly. For the second case, we use 2 agents with slight different opinions. And also here bonding happens. There's still the political party influence. And here we also made the connections between all the newspapers and agent 2, because yeah, we want to see the influence of that. And first of all, on the lower image, you can see all the lines that are more wavy or like less smooth. And those are the newspapers that we included. And you can see that this is quite, yeah, like this does, like in the beginning, it seems to influence the agents to opinion or like belief state. And if we go back to the upper image, like you see that indeed the belief state of the agent 2 that goes up, but later on you do see that it goes down, and this is probably because it starts quite like at 0.4 and agent 1 has a belief state and opinion value of 0.2. And we can see that the influence of agent 1 on agent 2 ensures that once the bonding happens, the belief state and also therefore the opinion state goes down together with the opinion of the first agent. Here you see again the belief minus, or like, yeah, goes up, which is the same for the same reason as in the previous case. Yeah, so we can, like, we see that the bonding happens accurately. The newspapers do have influence, and yeah, the model generally models properly. So in conclusion, we can conclude from these results that our model works, and we can gain insights from the inner workings of an agent. There are some adjustments that we would like to look into ourselves for the paper, and the most important one will be to include more stories. So more, yeah, like now we only had 2 cases, and we would like to include more cases where we, for example, include more internal conflicts, so more conflict within the belief states of an agent itself, but also opposite opinions and between agents. And also we would like to look more into the effects of the political parties and the newspapers. Moreover, I think that generally in future research, it would be nice to look more into the inclusion of time series of the opinions of political parties on a specific topic, since these parties sometimes shift in their opinions. And another thing that would be interesting would be a sentiment analysis on the newspaper that we use, because currently we're only using the relative amount of newspaper regarding a topic that occur a day. And it would also be good to look into the sentiment analysis of a current topic or of the topic that we're including. Moreover, I think that the main takeaway from this project is that the modeling of internal process with the external influence is quite a difficult task. But it is important because, yeah, it helps in countering the polarization and misinformation. This is also why we think this model is quite important and serves as an significant, or is scientifically significant, since it could serve as a start for a complex model for election and voting dynamics. For example, in future research, once the model is complete, it could be expanded upon by increasing the number of agents to represent more societal society, and also include more external states like the social media, exit polls, etc. The model could also be used for different topic opinions. And that way, for example, if we include like topic opinions like the increased or more lenient immigration policies, but also like topics about healthcare, etc. That way we could actually model dynamics within a society about a lot of opinions, and that way we could indeed like model more the election dynamics and the voting dynamics of people and how the election results come to exist. So that was our project.